Ooh, welcome on into the Fantasy Football Forge. The last show of 2024. We are not going to bring in 2025 here on the show, though. That's just not going to happen. Might not even make it till 9:30. We'll see. We'll see what kind of company we have here. What kind of, I don't know. I mean, I know there's one person for sure that's still playing this week. I don't know if they need any help today. We'll see. So I don't really have rankings done yet. I'll be doing that like Thursday. Try to get an idea, maybe on Friday. Try to get an idea of what these teams are doing, who's playing, who's not playing. It's going to be a fun week for fantasy people that are still going. That's all I know. Meanwhile, I got Penn State, Boise State going on over there on the television. So, I'll keep my eye on that and watch as I am already starting on all of the regular NFL draft stuff. I have every name on the PFF board recorded and down. I'll check other boards as I go through, but I'm just getting through there first. Here's to a championship run next fantasy season Forge. Let's go, baby. Cheers to it. I got some water. I can cheers to that, buddy. Nice to see you around, CC. How are you doing today? Thank you for stopping on in. I appreciate it. You can hang out. You can leave. It's up to you, my man. I don't know. I'm only going to be able to fill up so much dead air. So, I don't even know if we're going till 9 o'clock. We'll see. I just wanted to make myself somewhat available. And I wanted to be available earlier so that way, people with actual plans might be able to hop in. But I had actual plans that I had to attend to myself. So I was not able to. In fact, I've cut into my plans, but it's okay. Tristan NHL. I mean, you can ask him, Tristan. I might not be able to answer him completely at all. I don't know. I've got some resources up here to look at to help give me an idea. I really, like I said, I'm starting to work on regular draft stuff. So, if news reports have come out on this guy or that guy is expected to play and not expected to play, I only vaguely know some of that news. I may not know all of it. I don't know all of the playoff scenarios and whatnot going on, but like I said, I do have some sources here to at least help me with start-sit questions. But generally, I'm going to say, the final answers are not tonight. The final answers coming, Friday, Saturday morning, Sunday morning. So Penn State scored on their first drive, who I like their quarterback on the early returns from the extremely early portions of scouting as I get myself familiarized with the draft class. Can I trust Malik Neighbors or should I go with JMO and Thielen? Why wouldn't we trust Malik Neighbors? I don't know why we wouldn't trust Malik Neighbors after all he's done this season and last week. So, I believe so. I mean, obviously don't expect 36 points from, but you don't expect 36 points from anybody. Going up against Philly, is that why the question? This has got a slightly higher over-under here, I think, in general for New York, just in part because Philly's probably going to be... Philly's in a situation where they'll be resting some people, right? Yeah, I got you, Tristan. I understand. So let's see. JMO, with how that defense is going, obviously his needs will always be there. Yeah, it might be a week to play Jameson Williams if you want. I would play JMO over Thielen for sure. I don't even care who Thielen's playing against. Very good matchup for him as well. They're expected to be in a passing situation. Detroit, not so much. Malik Neighbors once again. I mean, he's safer. He's gonna have a higher floor, but regardless of, they can't sit everybody. They're gonna have a pretty decent unit out there. I don't really foresee myself ranking Neighbors ahead of Jameson Williams, but I'm okay with playing Jameson over him. Kind of one of those things. I'm curious to see if Fantasy Pros, how much they're knocking him or not. Most experts. Yeah, I mean, got him ranked 8th. It's going to be really hard, especially after last week, to rank him low. But Jameson Williams should be ranked pretty high this week. I think he'll be right in the early 20s. Yeah, 22nd right now against Minnesota. Typically been a really good matchup for wide receivers. Green Bay kind of, for the most part, did not take advantage of that. Yeah, it's just gonna go back to the safer, higher floor is Malik Neighbors. The higher ceiling, probably is gonna be Jameson Williams. He's in a really good matchup, and I wouldn't. Adam Thielen's close behind, but if you want to go for like the safe high floor, I would just play Malik Neighbors instead of Adam Thielen. So, Malik is a bust candidate. So, Tristan, do you normally play week 18? Or are you new and you didn't really, like, your league knew and a lot of your players knew or whatever, or your commissioner knew that you guys didn't really know not to play week 18? Or you just like playing week 18? Have Sutton too, but can't trust. Yeah, I don't think you need to play Sutton over going up against Kansas City. I mean, I'd play Malik over him. Sutton is ranked 9th. Sutton's fairly trustworthy. Kansas City's been pretty leaky. Denver plays Kansas City well. I'll be interested to see where I end up on that. Did Sutton fail again last week? I thought we got a decent week out of Sutton. Such a long week. Yeah. Touchdown, 55 yards. 5 receptions. It's a strong week. 14 fantasy points. Courtland Sutton's been getting hated on all season. He's been having a good year. Oh, I can pull that up. I kind of was going to do an end of the year wrap up tonight for this show, but I forgot that, like, it is literally the end of the year. I forgot, like, what night tonight was. I would have probably done this last night, just, like, after the game or something, if I had planned ahead. But I really didn't. And then this morning, I was like, oh, crap. It's New Year's Eve today. I do a 2-week playoff format too, but ours starts a week earlier. So it's 13, 14, or 14, 15, 16, 17. And yes, week 14, the 2-week format, playoff formats just shouldn't exist anymore because the NFL does week 14 buys, which is absolutely stupid. Yeah, I mean, I think I would prefer still having the week 14 buys compared to the playing week 18 because week 18 is like really messed up. Robbie D. Oh boy. Well, the good thing is you really can't get any more upset, Robbie, right? I mean, unless you're in like full PPR, then I guess that's a little bit more attainable. Obviously, you can overcome that anytime, but I assume you've kind of resigned to probably a loss, so now it's just all uphill. So I've got the final results of how players did on the season. Where are you? Courtland Sutton, wide receiver 27. Hold up. That's not quite right. Because I didn't do the Monday night people. Somewhere around there. 20. Looks like maybe like 23 after last week's performance is probably where it'll end up. Maybe because Jameson Williams had a good week. Yeah, he's going to end up as the wide receiver 23. Got jumped by Adam Thielen here. Adam Thielen outdid him, not across the entirety of the season, of course, but on a per-game basis. Adam Thielen just scoots right ahead of Courtland Sutton, which kind of makes sense, Tristan, as to why you trust Adam Thielen even more than Courtland Sutton. I mean, it's basically they did the same for you, but a little bit of a difference in matchup this week between the two of them. Michael's Budget Podcast. I'm down 23 in the championship. If I come back, I go back to back as champ. Hey, atta baby. That's comebackable. Michael, I got burned down by Colt. Yeah, same here, brother. And Stafford, yeah. I never, the two times that, like, I thought about playing, that gave some sort of hope to Stafford, he didn't come through. This being the second time, and that's why I wasn't as high this time. But last time, like, I don't know what week that was. Like 6 weeks ago or something, he had a really good matchup. 4 weeks, not even that long. It was like week 13 or something. He had a really good matchup, and he just flubbed it in, and I'm like, I will never trust you now. Because Anthony Richardson and Tua, both my quarterbacks were out. Yuck. Yeah, well, you took a shot on Stafford. I mean, it was a good shot. It just, I don't know what it is with this career Stafford. Like, fantasy-wise, it just doesn't come through. He's still a good quarterback and everything, but it just doesn't work out. Colts defense sucked. Robbie D just said Colts defense, and that's all that needs to be said. I had him too. And I thought about replacing with Las Vegas defense. The good thing is that I ended up, because last night, if Jake Bates doesn't kick as well as he kicks, and if San Francisco's quarterback would have gone on to not throw those picks and maybe throw 1 or 2 more touchdowns or run one more in, then I would have been close enough to where, not picking the Colts defense and picking a different defense out, and one of my players, having made like a different decision at my wide receiver 2 spot, I could have won. I could have made the comeback, but it was too far out for the most part. I started to get a tiniest bit of hope with how good the quarterback was doing there, but then I realized he still had Detroit's kicker. I've got Goff, Amon-Ra, and J-Mo this week. Well, they should still be slinging it, right? So that's good. It should be a good week to have them. Are you gonna? So does that mean you're gonna throw J-Mo out there? Are you thinking over Malik? Are you going for that? Guys, why didn't I fill this in? Can anybody pull up the half PPR scoring for me? Go to this link. If you want to help me work. Hold up. I don't know if all of this will come through. If you guys could, somebody could just go to that link and then make sure the settings are wide receiver half PPR for week 17 games. I could use the scores of the fantasy point scores of a few players. I'm doubling down with the guys that I've drafted. Yeah, Michael, I find that usually when I go out, I lost in my league that I got second place. I lost like 7 or 8 receivers throughout the year, so. That included at the end of the year losing Waddle again, which, I mean, I would have rode with him if he'd been available. And who else? I lost my other receiver. So I wish I had thought about Alec Pierce. That was the one I was thinking of players to play. And then I put Wicks in, who I played Wicks, who I was really optimistic about that as well. You know, I don't know for sure that I would have played Alec Pierce over Wicks, but Wicks got injured on the first drive. He ended up coming back in the game, but I don't think it was till much later. I don't know, because he's not used for the entirety of the second and third quarters, but he was very used on the first drive, and then he was there late game. Tristan, Amon St. Brown, Juwan Jennings, Jamison Williams, Deebo Samuel, and Ricky Pearsall. Oh, and then my opponent had Amir Abdullah, who of course goes off the last 2 weeks, as his RB2. So both of us had like a very weak spot on our roster. Mine wide receiver 2, his RB2. Chris Olave, and then Chris Olave didn't quite come back in time for me either. So, you know, who knows how any of those would have turned out. But I would have gone with them over searching for the waiver wire. But throughout the week, I had Tim Patrick, Nick Westbrook, Akine. Tim Patrick didn't do anything, so good thing I'm not playing that, I guess. And then Demario Douglas, who did do better, I would have played, but I was busy working when the announcement that Waddle was out occurred, and then I didn't remember that I could put Douglas in, because I would have played him at that point. Still wouldn't have been enough to win me the championship, though, so whatever. Saquon Barkley, Chase Brown, James Cook. Yeah, just... It's not that they played bad, but they didn't have those games that you need, those big games. A.J. Brown is benched, so I'm starting Marvin Harrison Jr. this week. I think I'm going to start Anthony Richardson over Tua. Do you think Anthony Richardson's going to play? Okay, Ricky, 24.7. Are the Eagles for sure like sitting everybody, or has that been announced already? Deebo got 8.6. Jamison Williams, 22 flat. Juwan Jennings, where are you, Juwan? 10.2. Barely came through. I was really nervous in the first half on Juwan Jennings, since I once again had him pretty highly ranked. Kind of come through. Anything over 10 points, like, I'm okay with in half PPR. So, much better second half for him. And Amon-Ra, because then, you know, you figure you put a touchdown on top of 10 points at 16. That's a good game. Amon-Ra was 16. Thank you very much, Tristan. Yeah, I knew Debbie was Deebo. Deebo does Dallas. Anybody remember that one? Okay, let me see how we did. So, you're going to need 34.5 points, and you take 33. 30. So I'll do... I don't know, some sort of stream next week, maybe like next Wednesday or something, where we'll just kind of recap the season. Or maybe like Thursday. Wednesdays are lame in the middle of the work week. Maybe we'll do Thursday night. I'll come live and recap all of just the players and how they did on the season. And we'll just go through that. I've made videos in the past that don't perform well. It ends up taking too long that I think people aren't even really looking for that kind of content anymore. You know, if anything, it's like at the beginning maybe of the next kind of fantasy football season would be a time to do something like that, recap the last year. But then I don't find much value in that because so many things change in the off season anyways. So I think we'll just do that with the live. I'll go over all the positions, go over my equalized value rankings with you guys, and we'll chit chat. We'll maybe learn a couple of things from the year. Shed some light on some of the players that we had and how we felt about them throughout the year. Is Saquon playing? For the record, he's projected 4, but I thought he would want it. I don't think so. I think he wants a championship more. It's I mean, it's a stupid record. It was done in 14 weeks. He's going to be going for 18 weeks here. That's not really a record. I mean, it's a record, but it's not beating the previous record. You know? It's just a different record on a different scale. Impressive nonetheless. But I think he knows that he could have gotten it, and let's win a Super Bowl, you know. They sat him down the moment he got 2K. The moment he got that, he got handshakes from the team, and he didn't get another run last week. So they could have ate away, you know. He probably could have broken the record in that game. He had, I think, a whole quarter left at that point. 36 to 42. 16.5. All right. So that will allow us to do this. Oh my gosh, the season stats are in. I knew I could have been working on something different today. I knew I was a step ahead of myself. I was just so ready to get to the NFL draft stuff. I just flew right into it today. Gabe Davis I have as the single worst by far. Yeah, that was a failure. We all knew it too, right? Everybody knew that was going to go well. Now, why would... not this again. Not this again. Okay. What the heck? There we go. So actually, Jonathan Mingo, Jalen Polk, who I did keep track of, Adonai Mitchell, ended up being worse. Mike Williams, Tyler Boyd down there, Juju, Gabe Davis, Dontavian Wicks. So wait, who did I say? Gabe Davis? Okay, there he was. Got him 84th out of the 90 guys that I got ranked. Excuse me. Michael, Cardinals are eliminated from the playoffs. That affects Trey McBride. I don't know. Weren't they eliminated last week too? I think they're just playing everybody. They're just a team that needs to continue to improve if they want to, you know, be a competitor. So I think everybody's still kind of playing for their jobs and stuff. I mean, this is all the stuff that I'm gonna, you know, try to listen into for the rest of the week to see what we can get from the coaches. Clips like, hey, you know, yeah, we're gonna sit our guys, you know, early. We're gonna get them out there for a few drives. Comments like that to help realize exactly, you know, the starters and everything. Puka's projected for 5 points, full PPR. Yeah, did they lock a playoff spot? The Rams? They must have, right? If they're expected to be sitting guys. Yeah. So teams that didn't lock the playoffs, you don't necessarily earn yourself time off. You know, I mean, if that was the case, New York Giants would be sitting guys for the last 10 weeks. At a certain point, you only get so many live reps, so many chances to improve, so many chances to put stats up for your career, for contract extensions, contract stuff as well, for future salaries, all that good junk. So, I'm sure Arizona's got a lot of young players. They're trying to improve. I would not anticipate that they'll be sitting everybody immediately, at least. So I'm just like going through and there we go. Boom. Okay, so yeah, Los Angeles players, not expected to play. Las Vegas line on that one. How does that go? Are the Packers playing for anything? I feel like the Packers are still going to play their starters and everything because they're also a young team who's just trying to get better. And they're expected to win by 9.5 against Chicago. I'm trying to remember. I don't think we can improve. I don't know if we can get worse. I mean, maybe we could move down a seed to the 8th, but I thought we were pretty locked in at 7. Where the heck are the Rams on here? Rams play Seattle at 425. Weird. 39-point over under. Yeah, that's on the lower end. And expected to lose to Seattle. Yeah. So I guess they are sitting everybody. I'm sure Stafford could use that. And if you're sitting your quarterback, it's like, well, might as well sit some of his main guys. So maybe they're expecting LA to go out there with one drive. What have I missed with this game so far? Tristan, if you're still out there and you still got that website ready, I could ask you for a different position. Just let me know. If not, not a big deal. This doesn't take long to do on my own. In fact, it takes longer to do while I'm also paying attention to chat, but it's fun enough. So Rashee Rice was the #1 wide receiver on a per week basis, but his sample size, he'll get removed from here. His sample size isn't enough. I think you gotta be in at least 6 or more games, or 7. What do you guys think? 6 games, should that count into, as a large enough kind of sample size to say, hey, we could have expected him to maybe stay on somewhat of the same pace for the season? And it doesn't work in favor of Brandon Ayuk. Man, that's one of the receivers that I lost. Brandon Ayuk, Rashee Rice, both guys that are lost in that league, that I lost like 7 quarterbacks throughout the season in. Still got second. Woo woo. Proud of that part of that. Crushed it on the waiver wire in that league. Boise State down 14-0. Well, that's not going to help get Ashton Jeanty more work. Only at 2.5 yards per carry for Ashton, too. All right, Boise State starting at the 48-yard line here. Give it to Ashton Jeanty, who goes for like 5-6 yards. Ross, the 50, of course, down at 53, 54-yard line. College Football Network, once again, second round CFP game is a blowout. New 12-team playoffs is an absolute joke. Jeanty has fumbled. I assume earlier. So we just got another big carry, unless I'm that far behind for some sort of big gain there. Oh, that's actually a reception Takes it down to the 31-yard line as Boise State's driving. 14-0 second quarter. Not a blowout yet. We shall see on that. I got my eye for tomorrow's game. Ducks, baby. Yeah, Ducks, Ohio. Who won in the first one? I kind of figured that, Michael. How you doing, my man? Bastion goes up the gut for 7 yards. Down at the 24. Make noise. I mean, we get games all year between top 25 teams, and they're not all blowouts. So I feel like I don't know that they made it too big. I think that just happened this year. Now he fumbled, and it's recovered by one of their own offensive linemen. I think for a 2-yard gain. But yeah, Gentie's just really drops it. I don't even know that that's stripped so much as it comes out. Oh, it does get knocked out. It does get knocked out. So I guess Gentie with two fumbles in on Twitch. First down, Gentie goes across the first yard line, 1 yard line. I don't think that was Gentie actually. Somebody's in the tent, but I don't know who. Alright, so Boise State driving on the 17-yard line here. Pitches it to Gentie for a loss of 3 as Penn State gets him behind the line for a tackle for loss. And I don't know who's who on Penn State's defense, but I do know there's a couple players that I like. Gentie is the one in the tent. Alright. It's just an excuse for the fumbling. So then, I don't know who this backup running back is for Boise. It's somebody. Empty backfield. Quarterbacks in the shotgun. Calls for it. Throws it. It's going to be a 12-yard gain. I believe it's going to be 3rd and 1 for Boise as they are going down, trying to make this game something. Boise State cheerleaders look all out of spirit. Or maybe those are just some fans dressed as cheerleaders. I would guess so, because they really didn't have a lot of spirit. That was kind of pathetic. Gentie back in the game. Trying to get drafted as high as he can, and the draft goes in motion, and it's handed off to the fullback, who goes and gets a touchdown all on his own from about 3 yards out. He just plows through about 6 Penn State defensive linemen. So it will be 14-7 probably here any moment. Rob, are you laughing about the cheerleader thing there? Right, I want to see him as Penn State quarterback, and then we'll probably call it after that. It looks like the people who wanted to come stopped on in. But I don't know. I got my eye on this Penn State quarterback, and in a draft where people aren't liking the quarterbacks too much. I thought some of his numbers looked pretty promising to me. Watched him a little bit earlier before going live. I did notice him dropping out of the pocket, just continuously backing up. And you don't like that. Make the throws longer on yourself. Not trusting your pocket, maybe. He's kind of looked like he was on tiptoes too, so I wonder about his height. I didn't look into that yet. I could look into it in 2 seconds because I have it right up here. Kyle McCord, that's what I'm talking about. 6'3", he's plenty high, tall, apparently. Maybe he's 6'2", though. Sometimes these things are wrong. 220, yeah, he's not, he could take a hit. 2.41 average time to throw. I like that. Pressure to sack conversion rate seems not low at 18.1%. Turnover worthy play rate 3.4%. Meh. When he's got the second most deep yards in the league, though, you like that. Adjusted completion percentage 75%. That's okay. Big time throw rate 5.4%. You know, that's okay. Numbers could be a little better. Screen yards, so I mean he hits them deep and long. 8th in the nation for screen yards, 8th in the FSB at least, or college football, and 2nd for deep yards there. Yeah, pretty consistently put up good performances throughout the season. Really only had one bad game against Pitt this year. Outside of that, you know, a couple of meh games, but mostly pretty darn good throughout the year. So something happens in November that his draft stock plummeted. I assume that's just that he got dropped lower in the draft simulator thing here. Tristan, I'll be rooting for you. I don't think you need me to root for you, though. That Detroit offense definitely going to be putting up some points against Minnesota. You got to assume. All right. So we're back from commercial. You know, I have to say, too, some of the Georgia players, I think, I might not be as high up on them as some of the draft community is right now. I'll see. Oh, that's very early on in the scouting process. Haven't even watched the tape yet. So, that goes a long ways. But just looking at some of the early numbers, some of them might have had some down, you know, a little bit of a down year compared to their previous year. Definitely not going to help their draft stock. All right, so Penn State runs it up the gut for 3 yards. Nothing exciting there. Oops. What did I miss? Something happened on second down. I just looked away for a second. Might have spaced out. I think that the record is based off of how many carries? No, it's just most yards. He can win. He can get the record, but I mean, I'm just saying most people understand that that's not really the record. I mean, you really want to beat the record, do it in 14 games. There will be an asterisk next to it. Or, you know, just on a full season per game basis, it'll be less yards. That's really how it should be kept. I mean, I have no clue what they'll do. They might chase it. I don't know. I'm just, you know, ESPN isn't thinking so. I think that they would much rather win a championship than risk him getting injured in a meaningless game. Nick Sirianni still doesn't know either, so they don't know, we don't know. We'll find out, but I doubt it'll be a full game, and you're really going to have to basically commit to a full game if you want Saquon. You know, it's 100 yards. I mean, sure, he could do that in a half, but you got to go into it thinking that, well, you know, we might have to play him the whole game. No, it's just the most yards on the season. That's the actual record. So, like I said, I mean, he would technically break the record, but it's not going to be in anybody's minds. But yeah, I mean, maybe his per carry basis. I mean, if his per carry basis is better already, then I mean, in some minds, he already beat. It has a better season than Eric Dickerson had that year. In my mind, he would, if that's the case. Yeah, they just used to run. It's just a different decade of football. You know, every football was played differently then. Passing used to be thought, you know, essentially frowned upon. It was like the part of the game that you didn't want to do. It was too risky. T. Higgins might be a free agent this year. Depends. Depends if Cincinnati locks him up before free agency or not. What are all these high schoolers doing at this game? Oh, they're college kids. They look so young. All right. 3rd and 8 here for Penn State. We were at a commercial for some reason there. I guess I don't know why. It was just commercial break, 8-minute break. All right, Penn State drops back, looks, finds nobody, overthrows it. Understandable. If he would have not overthrown it, it would have been a pick. That was, I think, to Tyler Warren, tight end. Probably a first-round draft prospect there. There was a flag on the play. It looks like it is on the defense. It was holding. That's going to be an automatic first down for Penn State. I assume the holding is on the tight end that he threw it to, and it looks like it is so. Yeah, just wraps him up around the ankles, and that's why the ball gets overthrown. Probably would have been fine otherwise. And dude, I'll take him on the Packers. Let's go. Yeah, I'm hoping that the Packers will go out and try and get an alpha. We should have just drafted T. Higgins. That would have meant we didn't draft Jordan Love, but I don't know. I might make that trade. Maybe we could have gotten Sam Darnold then instead, you know? Years later. Alrighty, ready. Back to his right. Kyle McCord in the shotgun. Hands it off to his back, who finds some room on the outside. Ends up going for 4 yards. Just tackled by the tips of his toes. But does a nice job of bouncing outside regardless. Just the guy in front, just kind of 71 there, doesn't quite, releases the block a little bit too early, and the linebacker is able to get his hand on the running back's toes. Big man, when's the next time you're going to stream? Michael, I was thinking maybe I'll do a Thursday night, well, no, so this week I'll do, I'll be streaming probably Friday night, but for sure Saturday morning, Sunday morning. Friday night might be something like this, where like I'll just kind of go for like an hour and see what it is. So tonight I'm just gonna end this whenever the Penn State drive ends. They just took like an hour for commercials, so it's been a little while. All right, Kyle McCord back in the Shotgun here. They're at their own 35 on this drive, so still got distance to go. The pocket starts to collapse on him. Oh! His own man takes him down by his ankle. He goes down weird, but he goes down weird in order to avoid injury. So he goes down just fine. It looks for a moment, that's like how the knees get messed up. But once again, Kyle did a good job of like taking the hit, even though it looked really weird. Yeah, his own guy comes in low on his ankle at the last second there. Watch any movies over the holidays? I want to go watch Nosferatu. I meant to do that today, and I kind of totally forgot. So I think I'll do that next Tuesday when I'm like just a little less busy too. I kind of have been trying to get all of my NFL draft stuff, spreadsheets wise, like all up to task, all prepared and ready to go. And in doing that, I've already begun some of my scouting process on players, the preliminary scouting stuff, to get myself some sort of baseline to work with. So, kind of working all day on that today and the last couple of days partially. Get back up to speed. But I am planning on going to see Nosferatu because I feel like that deserves a big screen watching, but I still only want to pay half, the normal price. So I got to go on a Tuesday. All right, so Penn State's going to punt it, and that drive looks like that's going to go to the 38. Have you seen anything good? What else? I watched a couple of newer Christmas movies. There was an animated one that was kind of decent. Like if you like animated, for the most part, kids Christmas movies, but I still like those. I think it was called That Christmas. Yeah, on Netflix. That I thought was enjoyable. I would not go as far as to say instant classic, but I feel like kids growing up watching it now in 15 years might call it a classic, I thought it was pretty well done. That Brian Cox doing one of the voices on there. Whenever you hear Brian Cox's voice, that's always fun. I'm trying to think. Otherwise, I watched The Penguin. I've watched and haven't really been enthralled with the Dune series on HBO Max. I watched a few of those episodes. I'll probably finish it up, but I'm in no rush. And if I don't end up finishing up, I might have to watch it in like 2 years or something. If I don't know what the Dune Prophecy is it. I don't know what the reviews have been on it. Yeah, so-so, huh? 70%. So, that's obviously not bad. 66%. Popcorn meter. Yeah, didn't quite grab me as much as I had hoped that it might in that Dune world. Yeah, Peacock or Hulu had that nice Hulu and Max deal. Should have gotten. I think there is a Hulu and HBO Max one, like Disney Plus. Probably Hulu and Disney Max. Yeah, there's a Disney Plus Hulu Max bundle that I was thinking of looking at. HBO Max is solid. They're kind of filling up with crap, but it's nice, like especially when the big movies come out on it. That okay, well I didn't have to pay it, and I didn't have to pay for it at a theater. So like, as long as you watch 6 movies that you might have gone to see in the theaters a year, it basically pays for itself at that point. Now I don't actually pay for HBO Max. A friend of mine pays for HBO Max, and I pay for Disney Plus and Hulu, and we just share accounts. But that's why that bundle, like maybe we should just look into whatever that bundle was. It was super cheap. I don't know if it's still that cheap. They had like a holiday discount. I think it was like the first 6 months really inexpensive. 9-yard run by Penn State. How did Penn State get the ball back? Well, I guess we'll just continue calling it. I guess on that punt, there must have been some roughing the kicker or something. Now there's an injury on the field, so it's going to be 2nd and 2 whenever this gets cleared up. Michael, have you seen Nosferatu? Or see much feedback on it? I just know that it's not like a 10. That's all I know. I've heard from enough people that I respect their opinions enough to think that as much as the movie might be, you know, really enjoyable to watch from a cinematic aspect, the story and or script of it, the writing, is a little odd. Yeah, and I'm okay with style over substance to certain extents. I know I hear the writing's odd, which is not exactly abnormal for Robert Eggers. Remember, like in The Lighthouse, he's got the one character, he farts a lot and stuff. There's always, I feel like, some odd things. All right, so the running back breaks loose here, going past the 50-yard line, past the 45, 40. There is a flag, probably holding. I don't think that was to start the play. I don't know. This goes all the way down to about the 20 for Penn State. They were starting on the opposite side of the 50-yard line. About the last 15 or 20 yards, he just willed himself to the next 15, 20 yards there. But yeah, there was holding eventually on the play. I feel like that sucks because holding like that, I don't think this holding happens until they're way downfield. Because the flags weren't thrown until he's way downfield. Okay, no. Probably did not need to hold there. Stupid flag. He thought he could kind of get away with it. Sucks for him. Screwed the pooch there. But definitely helped to ensure that run happened. So, makes enough sense. 3 minutes left in the half here as Kyle McCord, once again in the shotgun, down back at their 23-yard line, their own 23. Throws it to, I don't think that's Tyler Warren. I feel like Tyler Warren's 84, and that's maybe their other tight end. But they don't wear names on their jerseys, so I don't know. Take it easy. Happy New Year. See you next stream. Ready to go. Back to back. Yes. Good luck, Michael. Yeah, you know, I'll be, like I told you, Friday evening, but for sure is a possibility, a probability, but for sure Saturday, Sunday morning. Thank you for coming on through, my man. I appreciate you. So I'm either calling this to half or until Penn State scores. And on first down, the running back this time gets loose for 12 yards. No penalty. There is a penalty. Never mind. There's a flag. I lied. Spoke too soon. This might be going against the defense at least this time. So Penn State has had the flag on their own side of the field for about 7 minutes now, I think. I gotta see this. How does this drive look? I mean, this is just insane. This drive's technically been 2 different drives. Okay, they did. Alright. There was a quick minute there where Boise State had the ball. It was so quick that I didn't see it. That's funny. Alright, 2.5 minutes, 23-yard line. So the flag was, I don't know, maybe they're offsetting penalties because it is 1st and 20. So never mind, there it was. Kyle McCord lets it loose going deep and offensive interference, I would say. How do you not call that? Well, I don't know how they did not call offensive interference there, but anyways, nobody catches it. I mean, the receiver clearly interferes with him. Several times, actually. Pushes him again, gets tripped up in his feet. That's incidental. And then pulls him down as he's going down after getting tripped up in their feet. So you could say that's a continuation of the incidental, but there's the initial push. All right, Kyle Trask goes, throws it. That's, I think, Tyler Warren. If I had to take a gander, down to the 40-yard line for an 18-yard gain is going to be 3rd and 2 after that. Once again, I don't know for sure that Tyler Warren's number 44 on Penn State, but I do assume so. I really do. So that's our 2-minute warning. 3rd and 3 for for Trask, for Penn State. As they look to try to get a bigger lead here. 14-7 currently. I'm thirsty. The stupid Wegovy commercial, it's so bad that it's good. Wegovy. You're the cheesiest. Fireworks. All right, 2 minutes left. Kyle Trask in the shotgun. 2 men to his right. Tips it off to the running back, who gets tackled for a loss of 3 points there. 3 yards, not 3 points. You don't lose 3 points for that. Quincy, what up, Quincy? Heading out of here pretty soon. Just was kind of holding off till 9 just in case people showed up late or anything, but just kind of been watching and calling the Penn State Boise game in the meantime for the heck of it. How you doing, Quincy? Happy New Year's Eve so far to you. 1 minute, 51 seconds, 4th and 6. Well, actually, I was just going to call it till the Penn State punted, which I think they're going to be doing here. But now you showed up. So, you got any questions or anything, Quincy? Or are you just stopping in and saying hello? Should I end the stream? What's up, homie? I don't need to see the TV anymore, so. You got a question. All right. Okay. I'm in a 4-man league. Yes, realistically, everyone is available on the waivers. You can think of. I'm looking for players, backups that are must-adds, like Saquon's backup, potentially. Any thoughts? I don't know. Yeah, I mean Kenneth Gainwell's a pretty good back. Um, so I mean Cincinnati starter, Pittsburgh starters I assume aren't available. Baltimore is gonna be playing all. Baltimore's playing to win, right? So I don't think you can get anybody on that team that will matter. I'm just looking through. I still don't know all of the scenarios and stuff. I mean, I'm really mostly here, well, hoping that people had specific questions and I can then specifically figure it out. So yeah, Philadelphia's backup I think is probably gonna end up being a really good option. Tampa Bay's running backs I'm sure are taken. Uh, Chris Olave could be somebody that uh, could sneakily have a good day, but then you're trusting Spencer Rattler, so I don't know about that. Compared to who you're already starting and whatnot. Green Bay Packers are going to be playing, so I mean Romeo Dawes be available. Looks like mostly we're thinking of running back, right? Yeah, exactly. I know you're going to be stocked. That's why I'm just trying to think of like who could be available. Maybe that's going to be in a better position now or something. So you've got Chase Brown probably not going to play. Josh Jacobs should play. Bucky I think will be playing. I think, right? They're favored by 13 and a half. Justin Jefferson will be playing. Jamar Chase will be playing. Brian Thomas Jr. I assume will be playing. Why not? They haven't been in the playoffs for some time now. Mike Evans should be playing. So most of your guys will be playing. Josh Jacobs, Bucky, even your running backs. You got Puka. Puka's probably not going to be playing, or at least much. But you still got those other wide receiver options. Kamara, you don't even need if he comes back. Great, but didn't he get put on IR? James Cook. I don't think Buffalo's playing for much if they're playing guys. Mixon, I don't think Houston's really playing for much, but I mean, they got the Indianapolis Colts favored over Jacksonville. No, sorry, Tennessee, Houston. They got like tied up there. So yeah, I just don't know what to expect from Houston in this one. Really, with that game, season kind of over for them. Maybe not so good a vibe. So I'm pretty stacked. It says on ESPN Puka's protected. Yeah, I think that maybe the Rams come out and do a drive, maybe, and that's it. McConkey is on waivers. Yeah, so Chargers are playing, right? Going against the Raiders. It's not like the best matchup in the world, but it's not a bad one. Dude, no. If you think about it, if there's 12 team leagues, no, everybody is not playing. You miss out on your favorite players. So first of all, there's no guarantees that anybody's playing. But the Eagles will not be playing. The Los Angeles Rams will not be playing. So that's Puka, that's Saquon Barkley, that's AJ Brown. Those are studs that teams that are here don't have that they had all season long. Some of these teams will be pulling players early when they get leads. Like Baltimore is probably going to get a big lead on Cleveland, and then they'll be pulling players, so their ultimate ceiling is not so high because they maybe in mid-season they want to pull them so early, but with 1 week before the playoffs, you want to be a little extra cautious about injury, so you pull your players early on in games. Cincinnati's going to be playing hard, and then depending on what happens in some of these games too. Now the NFL does a pretty good job with the schedule, but every year you can't always make it perfect. So when does I assume Cincinnati plays? Okay, Saturday. So if Cincinnati wins, then Miami's not gonna have anything to play for. So like Tyreek Hill might sit down and not play with all of his stuff going on. Waddle would probably not return even if he could, or maybe he will. I don't know. It depends, but they definitely don't have to. The New York Jets, Aaron Rodgers in a different world could sit. Not that that really matters for fantasy right now. Ones that are one seeds, ones that have their playoffs locked up. So like the Green Bay Packers, I'm not sure, but I think I don't know. Can the Green Bay? I thought are the Green Bay Packers locked into the 7th seed of the NFL playoffs? Okay, so the Packers could finish as a 6 or 7 seed. So it's like, if they're winning by a lot, losing by a lot, they'll be much quicker to pull the trigger, pull guys out of the game, and not have as much upside as other weeks. Fantasy scoring goes down, and some guys aren't going to be available. So with some of these other games. And then I don't know about some of the other scenarios going on in the league where that might cause one of these later games for some guys to not have to play, much like the Los Angeles Rams Seahawks, where the Rams aren't going to really have to play there. Arizona, San Fran, they're not really playing for anything, I don't think. And then you got the Denver, Detroit, Minnesota game there. So it looks like the league actually put meaningless games in at the 425 spot, so that way teams at the 1 o'clock spot wouldn't have any kind of advantage of knowing what's happening before them for a lot of that. So Kansas City, also another team that's not going to be playing their people. So, that's Worthy, that's Patrick Mahomes, that's Isaiah Pacheco, if he was, had been healthy and being your guy. That, of course, changes things then on the other side of the ball. You got the Denver Broncos, who are playing for something, possibly. Playing hard against backups, and so that makes life a little bit easier for those guys. So then if you're going against them, that's a little bit frustrating when you got, you're all of a sudden your opponent's starters playing backups because the team that they're playing against has nothing to play for. So that's why people don't like this. Just wait till you play it, Quincy. It's obnoxious. 4-team league's a little bit different because you have a lot of options to pivot to. Let's see. I was going down. Let's Buffalo, New England. So I don't think Buffalo. I don't think James Cook will really be playing much. But you got Josh Jacobs and Bucky. So I don't think you're gonna find anybody better than these options. I don't really want Green Bay's backup running backs against Chicago. Well, no, that game doesn't matter. We're talking Buffalo. So I mean, maybe Ray Davis against the New England Patriots? Maybe? Let me see if, yeah, Ray Davis would be somebody that might be worth picking up. Currently ranked 16th by the experts. New England's a pretty good rushing. He's going to get a lot of opportunity. He's done well on the season. If we find anything about like Bucky Irving's usage or something there, or maybe even a flex spot, depending on how things go, it could be somebody you might find yourself playing, but also probably somebody you want to block your opponents from playing. So like you could drop a Puka Nacua and pick up Ray Davis just to block him from your opponents. I think did Mixon get injured, or is he just not really expected? I don't know how to think about Mixon right now. So Chase Brown, Las Vegas, Amir Abdullah is an option. If Is it Chase Brown? No. Who is the... Oh, Michael Carter of Arizona would be someone that you could pick up and kind of like block your opponents from playing. As well as Khalil Herbert of Cincinnati, I think will be starting. You could pick him up. I think still Ray Davis, I think, is the highest rated out of this bunch, but Khalil Herbert would definitely be somebody who could put up points. Once again, you know, you're just really looking to block your opponents in some of these situations. Alec Pierce could have a big week, of course, but, you know, whatever. Yeah, I think that those are like the three running backs that I think are coming to my mind here based on injuries and situations going on. Shadow Wiz Wicked. Just about to head out of here, Shadow Wiz, but let's see here. Fantasy Keeper question. All right. Keep Kyren Williams, lose in the 8th round, or Bowers and lose a 10th round? How did you get Kyren in the 8th? Is this like a second-year thing where you're holding on to him? League I'm in, tight end spot is flex with wide receiver. I know it's way too early for the question. Wait, so... you don't have to play tight ends? Is your tight end spot just a flex spot? Is that what you're saying? You don't have a specific spot where you have to play a tight end? Because that does change the math on Bowers a little bit. But... I'm thinking still keep Kyren, probably, like you said. I mean, it's early on for this. There's a lot to think about. It's a tough decision regardless. Because if Las Vegas goes out and they get themselves another wide receiver weapon, and then you got Jacoby there, you know, at that point, could Brock Bowers see a little bit less of a target share and everything? I would say yes. You know, just like when Devontae Adams was there. I mean, he wasn't having this high and consistently high of a target share. So, to me, I mean, Kyren's just been so good. Is Kyren gonna stay with the Rams? He's there for another year, isn't he? He was there for like 2 more years. No. Yes, the contract will end after the 2025 season. So I think they run Kyren Williams pretty hard for another year. And an 8th round pick for a running back's pretty nice for like a top 2-3 type of running back. Yeah, and then I think they're gonna let him go and they'll just move over to Blake Corum. Um, Yeah, the tight end and the wide receiver being a flex, you know, that does lower that value just by a little bit because for the most part, tight ends suck, you know? Obviously, Bowers has been a revelation, or that's the better word there. But I mean, you saw, you know, Sam Laporta, how that usage can just kind of be taken away 1 year later very easily. The NFL, you know, deeper targets are more valuable, but Bowers is unique. So that's tough. I mean, that gives you Bowers for 2 years. Is the other thing to think about it, right? If you don't keep Bowers, if you get rid of Kyren, you can only keep him for next year. You can take Bowers, you can get him for 2 more years. But that was part of the decision of taking Kyren last year, was that you get him for 2 years. Yeah, that's a tough one. I would say Kyren Williams will be going higher than him in the draft, but it's only going to be by like a round and a half or 2 rounds. So yeah, I mean, I think I would keep Kyren Williams there. Yeah, exactly. Penn State trying to go up 21-7 for the half. Quincy, I don't know where you're going. Okay, wait. I think you explained everything pretty well. I don't think I'm too affected in my 4-man, but appreciate the in-depth answer. I'm gonna miss seeing you every week, bro. Yeah, I mean, I'll still be around plenty. Appreciate you, man. I do a lot of NFL draft content. Yeah, exactly. I mean, I would assume there's only about 6 tight ends that are really worthy of being rostered on a regular basis, and the rest of them kind of get tossed around throughout the season. You're very welcome. I mean, amongst tight ends, you know, Burrow did have. Let's see here. This season. Let's see here. This season, compared to wide receivers. Hold up. No, I'm looking at the wrong thing. So give me one moment. Brock Bowers averaged 12.1 fantasy points per game. That is equal to the wide receiver. Garrett Wilson, 23. You know, a wide receiver too. So definitely. Now looking at that again, I mean, I thought it was more like he's equal to like, I guess, 13, maybe like the wide receiver 14 or something. But that's just tight ends are just that they suck. The only thing I can think of is if Las Vegas doesn't get any better weapons and they get Aaron Rodgers, like, okay, now let's go with Brock Bowers, maybe. You know, I don't know, something like that, something weird. Or they get Minnesota. What's his name? Mr. Magic, you got bit by the Purdy? I'm sorry, man. That sucks. Second place. Join me. I got second place as well. I pretty much figured I probably was going to get second, but there was... you know, a couple of things just go slightly differently over the last 2 weeks, and I could have won easily too. But... didn't go our way. I was about to get out of here, Mr. Magic, but I did say I would be available till like 9:30. So, do you have any questions, Mr. Magic? Just kind of finished up with Shadow, and Quincy's heading out. Done professing his love for me. That was weeks ago. If it wasn't for the and maybe a pooper cup never became a thing, right? That's disappointing, man. I thought he could come back for one more game. They just stopped looking his way the moment the playoffs came. They're like, nah, we don't really need to throw it to him, do we? We can just throw it all to Puka Nacua. Kitty Cat says, Happy New Year, everybody. Alright, I'm pretty thirsty. I gotta re-up. I've got some family and stuff inside. So, let's see here. Give me a top 5 in order in a PPR redraft. And I don't see much of a reason why Jamar Chase won't be up there again. Jamar Chase, Saquon Barkley. I don't know, just Jahmyr Gibbs might end up slipping up into their Bijan Robinson. I think we might see some running backs go a little bit earlier again. You know, Kyron Williams is right up there. there might be a couple of question marks there. And then it's like, is T. Higgins still in Cincinnati? If so, I mean, he's in this conversation. But Justin Jefferson will get taken before him, almost certainly, anyways. I may or may not agree with that at the time. We'll see who their quarterback is. Chris Godwin, I think, could be in the argument there. Amon St. Brown, of course, could be. Puka Nacua. Well, Puka's probably. I think Puka's going to be there. Puka, Jamar, and maybe those 3 running backs. Puka, Jamar, Saquon, Jameer, and Bijan. Full PPR. I think we'll be a little bit too concerned about Houston quarterback for Nico to be that high. Oh, Malik Neighbors. Full PPR, Malik Neighbors. CeeDee Lamb definitely be up in that conversation. Probably not Brian Thomas Jr. because he's a little bit of a lower target guy. Let's do that. Neighbors, Puka, Jamar Chase, Saquon Barkley. Somebody else. That's probably about gonna. I think that might be the top 4 there. Yeah, CD will be right up there too. I think I said that probably before you typed that, I assume. CD would be in that somebody else. It's just, I think after those 4, I think those would be the 4 though that will be the highest. I mean, Malik getting 10 more targets than CD. I think Dallas is also going to be drafting a receiver, probably pretty highly, first or second round. So that might take a little bit of that shine off of CD's ultimate, especially PPR usage, especially if it's like Luther Burden, somebody who's going to be a slot receiver. Because part of why CD's gotten so heavily targeted is because he does come down into the slot for them plenty. Yeah, I think Puka should definitely be deserving of being up there. So, I mean, for me, for this season, on a game-by-game basis, I have Rashee Rice, Puka Nacua, Jamar Chase, Chris Godwin, and Justin Jefferson as the top 5 this season. Top 5 team contributors. And so I don't think Rashee Rice will be, drafted that highly. Chris Godwin's going to be like another year older, another injury, older, more. So Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, Puka Nacua, and then Malik, I think, could be talked into being that high. We'll see for sure on that. And, I mean, Malik's ahead of CD, but CD's in that conversation. That's going to get interesting. Because of Puka's injury history, I suppose he might end up falling to that 4 to 7 range. Because he cannot stay healthy. That would concern me, He's just so good, though, on a per game basis. And then I gotta think Barkley will be right up there in that conversation as well. All right, Mr. Magic. Any other question you got? Otherwise, I'm gonna head on out. It's about that. It's about that time. All right, I'm assuming you're not writing up a really long response here to that question. So, I'm going to end the stream. if you are writing up something, typing up something, you can still hit enter. I'll leave the chat open for a little while. Even after I end the stream, we can still communicate in the chat for as long as you keep the window open and I keep the window open. So I keep it open for a little bit just to make sure that no message comes through. Otherwise, Happy New Year's, everybody. And I will be back Friday night, probably, and Saturday morning, Sunday morning, prior to the games for sure, for questions this week. Start-sit stuff. And I'll have some form of rankings. They might be kind of short, but we'll see. All right. Peace out. That's it.